Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Olivet City Hall meeting for March 22nd, 2022. Can we please take roll?
Councilmember Carl,
Here.
Councilmember Waldman,
Here.
Councilmember Knox,
Here.
Chairman Weil. Here. Mayor.
Here.
Okay, item number 2, Mayor, our communications. We have no written communications. However, we do have 2 swearing-ins and an award ceremony.
All right, let's get it on.
Are they there?
The business, okay. All right. You're gonna repeat after me. I
I,
That's your
Timothy Fain,
do solemnly swear that I possess all of the qualifications
do solemnly swear that I possess all the qualifications
prescribed by the law for the office of
prescribed by the law of the office of
Assistant Fire Chief
Assistant Fire Chief
for the city of Olivet,
for the city of Olivet,
and that I will support the Constitution
and I will support the Constitution
and all the laws of the United States
and all the laws of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
and the charter and ordinance of
and the charter and the ordinance of
the city of Olivet,
the city of Olivet,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of this office.
of this office.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
If you have your family come up, would like to take a picture? Yeah. Family, come on up. Okay. Child GQ magazine. Looking for one Parker Spencer. Make sure you put that hand up for me, sir. On your right hand, sir. I, Parker Spencer,
I, Parker Spencer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess all the qualifications
that I possess all the qualifications
prescribed by law for the office of
prescribed by law for the office of
fire captain slash paramedic
fire captain slash paramedic
for the city of Olivet,
for the city of
and
Olivet,
that I will support the Constitution
and that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and for the state of Missouri,
and for the state of Missouri,
and the charter and ordinance of
and the charter and ordinance of
the city of Olivet,
the city of Olivet,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of this office.
Go. Can I have the aid crew guys come up and join us up front here? Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. Mann. My name is Steve Carmen, Fire Chief, City of Olivet Fire Department. St. Louis County Fire Chiefs Association honors firefighters and paramedics throughout the county for going above and beyond the call of duty. On July 10th, 2021, at approximately 22:30 hours, a first alarm was struck for a residential structure fire with victims trapped on the second floor at 1411 Dealman Road. Upon responding, the crew realized the wrong address was given and turned around to investigate. 2717 found light smoke conditions in the street in front of 1141 Dealman. The residence is very difficult to see from the street level due to the heavy vegetation in front of the house. Upon further investigation, 2717 encountered light to medium smoke conditions in the front yard and two victims in the second story window screaming for help. 2717 gave a size up, reporting victims' location on side B of the structure. 2710 arrived on the scene. Captain Tim Fain established incident command while engineer Jimmy D'Angelo set up the pumper for operations. Firefighter Stada advanced a hose line to the front door and returned to 2710 to retrieve the extension ladder, working his way through the thick vegetation, placed the ladder on side B of the structure to the window. Firefighter Beard secured the ladder while firefighter Hildebrandt climbed the ladder and rescuing a 6-year-old female at 22:42 hours. Conditions in the room were heavy smoke and intense heat with zero visibility. Climbing down the ladder with the victim in his arms, firefighter Hildebrandt gave firefighter Stada the victim. Care was transferred to West Overland's ambulance 5217 and transported while being treated for smoke inhalation. Firefighter Hildebrandt climbed back up the ladder to the window and rescued a 61-year-old female and assisted her out of the window and climbing down the ladder at approximately 22:44 hours. Firefighter Stada helped the victim to 2717 and started care of and treatment for her injuries. Firefighter Stada remained with the victim to the hospital. Firefighter Beard advanced an 1 3/4 attack line to the kitchen and extinguished the fire. The fire room was directly under the bedroom where the victims were located. The fire attack crew located the family dog and immediately removed her from the structure as well. The crew did an outstanding job acting quickly to rescue two victims from the extremely dangerous environment. The situation was intense with many obstacles for the crew. This was a team effort from all members. The skills and the quick action demonstrated by the crew has resulted in a positive outcome for both victims. Victim one, a 6-year-old female, was on a ventilator for a couple days in the hospital after the incident, and she has had a positive outcome. The second victim was treated for her injuries and released several hours later from the emergency room. It is my pleasure to announce and honor Assistant Chief Tim Fain, Engineer Jimmy D'Angelo, Firefighter Constantine Stada, and Firefighter Quentin Hildebrand, and Firefighter Brian Beard with a Class 6 unit citation. Also for his work on the scene, firefighter Quentin Hildebrand received a Medal of Bravery. Sure. Go on up there, guys. What's that? I'll get you after. As soon as they get done with the picture, Chief Fain would like to say a few words as well.
So what they don't tell you is how individuals did a job that they trained for. Jimmy D'Angelo, the engineer that night, that was his first working fire as an engineer. Great job. Brian Beard. Yeah. Brian had only been here 2 months, was hired in May, and this fire happened in July. Very first fire as a professional firefighter. Awesome job also. Quentin here, he's been on a few fires around town. But his duty as rescuing again was just all through training and preparation for that. Constantine Stada, firefighter Stada at the time, pulled 200-foot of 1.75" off the fire truck, positioned that hose line at the front door to where Brian was sitting. He went back to the fire truck that night, seconds after he dropped the hose line, retrieved a 24-foot extension ladder, carried it up to the house himself, which we trained to do, and threw it up to where they can get the rescue on that second floor. Again, that's all training that these guys did. Which, sorry, Jimmy, I got to tell the story now. Came back to me after the fire that night, and we were sitting in the engine bay cleaning up that evening. And he just said, "Tim, you didn't have to give an order whatsoever." And I was just thought, like, I didn't tell these guys what to do or where to put things. They did it just because they knew how to do it, and that was good on them for their training. So I appreciate that, Jimmy, that compliment. That meant a lot. So the fire department also gives a life-saving award pin to each individual. And for Brian, your first life-saving award pin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council. Thank you, Mr. Mann.
I don't have any, I don't have any report. I do know, there's a lot going on around the city. If you drive around, you see lots of construction. The parks have been kicking off on all ends there. Pay attention to the Facebook page or social media. Kiana Fleming's been doing a great job in that. I wish I had some more pictures here. We have reports of a fire truck in the area with our name on it. Look for that in the next couple weeks. But I don't have any pictures or anything prepared.
That's good enough for me. I guess we're going to any staff report,
City council reports. We'll just go to city council
any
reports.
city council reports from our members? Councilman Waldman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, I attended the Olivet Creve Coeur Chamber event where they recognized. Yeah, we can't close the door. No, but we can ask them to move down the hall. No, security.
Just close one. Just close one. Just close.
So I attended the chamber event where they recognized police and firemen from Creve Coeur, Olivet, and in St. Louis County. And our end, the police officer that was recognized this year, along with the firemen that we just were blessed with recognizing again, was Dane Lincoln. And it was a lovely event. It always is a good event. And with that, that's report from there. I attended the Planning Community Design Commission meeting where we all get a very good summary report from Mr. Trejo the very next day. And nothing is yet being discussed with regards to the B&Bs. But that will be, that has been brought to their attention that it will be an item that they will be discussing. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
I have been attending a series, so far two, there's a couple more coming up, of meetings with the chair of the commission, the Parks Commission, the director of the commission, of the Beverly Tucker Knight and Barb Sondag with our branding team. And we will be looking forward to in the next, hopefully, couple weeks, month, bringing up how we're going to roll out our ideas and conversation about the branding of the new community center to the Parks Commission and then back to the council.
I have not attended any meetings, but I would just like to add my thanks to the first responders that were honored tonight. Just, still always great to hear how well we're doing there. So thank you.
And I will add on to that. It's nice to know that they're on our payroll.
Yeah.
That they're part of the city of Olivet. Makes me feel really good.
Item number 5 is the monthly finance report for February 2022. Oh, I apologize.
Mr. Councilmember Knox, do you have anything to report at this time, sir?
I don't have anything to report. I haven't attending any meetings, but I also want to congratulate the first responders that have won their awards this evening and then last week at the chamber event. But I think the one thing that we need to say is the leadership in our public safety departments. I've watched them over the years train in the abandoned homes around the city, and it pays off. And I know several of the people that were involved in the leadership of Assistant Fire Chief Tim Fain. I've known him for a long time, and his leadership has been proven, and I'm glad that he's our Assistant Fire Chief. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
Now the monthly finance report. I apologize, Rick. February 2022.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have our February financial report here in front of us, and what we'll see the general fund revenues are 126, almost $127,000 above expectations, and our expenditures remain below at 323,000. Overall net favorable balance of around 450,000. Our revenue categories have turned mixed. The expenditures mostly due to some personnel costs, vacancies, and that we're rehiring for, and Nothing here is probably is no new news as far as what we see here in the month of February. Look at our dashboard with what it say, just short of 75% of our year with a June year end. See, everything's coming in A-OK. Our protests are a little bit lower than or higher than we had thought, as usual. So we'll see those released in May, and those affect that property tax class. Sales tax, or sorry, with our reserve policy, well in compliance at around 4.3, 4.4 million. We'll be relooking at that at that 5-year mark as our budgeting comes around, and that's been our constraint the last several years. Sales taxes remain the leader. We did have that dip in December, but now it's doing well. Property taxes, like I said, protests are a little bit higher than we had thought, even historically. But however, the budgeted amounts appear valid. The utility tax collections still remain above expectations on higher than expected electric and water gross receipts, but those are offsetting in the telecom and natural gas receipts. And then the remainder categories have switched to a mix up and down. Permits revenue remains high, and that is because of a lot of the developments coming to fruition here and there that we've worked on over the last several years. And then the business licenses are now reporting a negative variance, and that's a little bit of a budgeting mistake on my part. When I did the budget last year, I thought that the postponement of the business licensing was for just the single year along with the liquor licenses, but it is not. It's a permanent change to more align with the tax return and tax prep. So we'll see those pick up hopefully in the next couple months. Again, like I said, on the expenditure front, personnel costs account for 245,000 of the 323,000, and then our legal costs remain lower than we had anticipated last year at this time. So with that, I'll share a chart of the month. We do see the grocery receipts the monthly sales tax report. 1% were here in the orange line, and you can see that it had this dip in December, followed by some of our better months ever, and that continues into March. So we do have a positive variance. Electric grocery receipts. I brought this one back up because we see that it was overall quite a bit higher. We're looking at the bright green line right here. And then now it's kind of dipped out, but it is a little bit better than we thought on par. And if we look at all these through all of the budget years, which is what we base most of what our budgeting will be for this, we're still above, and that's why it's reporting as such. With that, I don't have any other thing to add. I'm more than happy to answer any questions for now or for next month.
Actually, I do, and you really ended up answering that. You know, it was my intention to literally ask about that last sentence under the remainder category is now reporting a stronger negative variance due to expecting quicker than actual business license applications and payments. And then you said that was a permanent move. If I heard you correctly, was this, just remind me, a permanent move we did because of the pandemic, because of a law? What was that?
It was a result of the pandemic for the year to kind of give
That's what I
folks
thought.
time to come out of it a little.
Uh-huh.
But if anybody that has filled out a business license for the city, it's fairly accelerated on turning in your application compared to when you would be preparing for your tax return.
Okay.
And so this more aligns with when your books are finalized for the year, which is a lot of what the business licenses are based on.
Okay,
which
thanks.
is grocery receipts.
Thanks,
Mhm.
Darren.
Item number 6 is hearing from citizens.
If anyone on Zoom would like to speak here with hearing from citizens, just raise your hand here on the Zoom. I think we do have, I'm sorry, Mr. Burdish had his hand up too.
Burgess JDA 29 Chisholm Court. Longtime resident of Olivet, of course. I believe Ms. Wellman mentioned something about Steinberg skating rink. And I'm here to say we shouldn't get involved in that. It's owned by the city of St. Louis. The city of St. Louis received the American Rescue Act, which gave them millions of dollars. And I know if you read the sports pages, you're all aware of the football settlement, which gave $500 million to be divided up between the city of St. Louis, the county, and the sports authority. So they have plenty of money if they need to do something with the skating rink. We don't need to get involved. We've already had bad situations with skating rinks before because ours went bankrupt. The city of Maryland Heights is to dig in their reserves for the skating rink. So they should be trying to give us money, not us give them money. But I would be against any money going to that skating rink because the city owns it. And believe me, they got plenty of money. Matter of fact, if you watch TV, you'll see the firefighters and the policemen all wanting raises because they know that they have more money. Now, if it takes some time to spend it, that's something else. But they have enough money to take care of anything they need with the resources they have, and we don't need to help them. Thank you.
Clarify, just for the
Please
record.
proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. For the record, the conversation that I had with regard to Steinberg Rink was not related to money at all. They're wanting public input. They are going to be redesigning Steinberg, and they're going to be looking for it to be something that is useful 365 days out of the year. And it can't be a skating rink 365 days out of the year. But with the mindset of wanting to do the improvements, they want all of the communities, whether you live in the city, whether you live in the county, whether you live in St. Charles County or beyond, because everybody comes to enjoy, unless you have imbalance and you can't ice skate, everyone comes to enjoy the skating rink. So it's not our money. It was putting just a communication blast out to our citizens that there would be public input opportunities and to please partake in them. So, forgive me, Mr. Burdish, there is no money from us going into that. It just is really spreading the word of provide your input because everybody uses it, sir. So thank you. Thank you.
Item number 7 is resolution number 2022-221. And a resolution authorizing the city of Olivet to enter into a master lease agreement with American Capital and to authorize 3 separate schedules for fitness equipment at the new community center.
All righty, Mayor and Council. Before we, in front of us, we have kind of a culmination of the purchase of the outfit, or sorry, the beginning of the outfitting at the new community center. And this is for all the fitness equipment inside of the new community center. And this is we have to, the vendor needs to have these orders in now so that we can get the equipment in time. It's really exciting to see what kind of stuff we're going to be getting in there. It's exciting to kind of get some of this stuff checked off. The arrangement that is, I guess, the total amount, and it's not really listed here anywhere, is about $350,000 worth of equipment is going into the community center. And the basis for how we get to those things or have a lot to do with something from many years ago, being the Ballard King report, which has provided a lot of the pro formas for what this can do, what kind of offerings we would have. And then it was further refined over the last several years into now in the last several months with the strong help of the Parks Director, Beverly Tucker Knight. And then also we had completed an RFQ and then approved by the council for design, an RFQ for the design services to design this fitness equipment, the placement and then the layout of it. And that's with, hold on, I'm gonna forget her name, Lisa. I'm sorry about that, Lisa. Either way, There's their names and stuff are a lot on it's advanced exercise. And they're just down the street from us here, just across Warson. And she helped us out with all the fitness equipment that we have here at City Hall, which we received through a FEMA grant. I'm more than happy to answer any questions, but the basis of this, there's $350,000 of equipment. We did not have a budget for $350,000 to outfit this. And there's a variety of reasons why we wouldn't want to commit the cash up front to do this. So it was arranged into 3 separate leases and then also a cash purchase. And that was going to be the next resolution. I kind of explain how it went into. One way to do this is, or I guess the way we decided to structure this was for one part of this for the treadmills to be on a 3-year lease, and then those will be replaced. Those are designed to be replaced at 3 years to have the latest equipment. There's another section of this which is for the cardio equipment on a 5-year lease, and the reasoning for that is a lot of this equipment. One thing we have is a budget. One thing we have is an idea, but we don't know what the reality will hold for some of this equipment. And so this gives us an opportunity in 5 years to decide on this, which is a traditional lease like we would most likely do for our cars, which is at the end of the lease, we say, we just give it back, or they say, here's how much it would cost to buy this. And we would make a decision at that point. And then the remainder, the final lease that's here is for weightlifting equipment, barbells, those kinds of things, stuff that we know we're going to keep. And that is it's called a $1 buyout. At the end of the 5 years, we make these payments right here, and then we give them $1, and then they hand it over to us, which it was already in our facility. And the reason for that is we know that we're going to be keeping this. We know that we're not going to replace the barbells after 5 years, 10 years. Who knows how long they'll last. And so whittling that in with between a 3, 4, 5 year lease, and then what to buy with cash. The other stuff that we bought with cash is really similar to things that are what we're going to do with the 5-year lease with the $1 buyout. However, if we think of things like a ball, like a strength ball, or a mat, or let's say even a hand sanitizer and wipes, those aren't good things to be leasing at all, because they're going to be gone by the time the 5 years is up. And so part of that is managing how much cash we had budgeted for this project, which on the project budget, we had $100,000 budgeted for this equipment with the cash needs. And then also the needs for our operating, which is budgeted at $70,000 per year. And that's from the pro forma that we were using currently. We've come down to this with 3 leases and then some cash purchase, which we'll see in the next 2 resolutions. I know that that's got to create some sort of questions, so I'll open it up for that. What we have here is the model of the leasing payments themselves presented there, along with the quotes that they are based on.
I don't know if anyone else does, my fellow council member Knox or anyone, before I ask questions of our esteemed attorney.
No.
Polly. So and I got a little bit of an explanation when I had a 5-minute conversation with the city manager just briefly before the meeting. Because of course, Polly, a master lease. I've never heard of a master lease, but I'm not a lawyer. I don't do the contract law, but I have reviewed contracts and stuff for other lawyers. I've never seen the word master lease. So that kind of threw me a little bit. That made me say, I'm going to ask Paul about that. But at the very, very, very end of this, and I'll let you do that, but at the very, very end of the lease, I just need you to explain. It says 50% will be paid to vendor upon execution of this progress agreement, and then 50% will be paid to vendor upon final verification of delivery. And I initially read that to say, what? We're paying them in full, when we get the equipment? And it was kind of explained to me, no, we're not. But Mine is legalese. Are you comfortable with this master lease, Paul? Is there anything that stood out to you?
Well, I will tell you the same thing that I told the city manager. I haven't seen I haven't seen lease documents that so thoroughly and completely push the risk onto the lessee. But I also haven't seen lease documents pertaining to athletic equipment. And from a vendor's perspective, I think it does make sense. And I do not know how the lease could be structured to change anything. So I am comfortable with the overall idea. I've gone through the terms of the master lease and made a couple of suggestions that Mr. Mann, I believe, is going to be following up on. Technical things, the usual things that I always get involved in. And overall, yes, I'm comfortable.
Very good, because it was a lot. It was a lot, and exactly what you said is how I felt. A lot of the onus is on us, and that's not typically typical, you know. But again, I'm not an attorney, and I don't know contract law that well. So,
Well,
thank you.
I'll elaborate just a little bit and say that part of my concern was we're leasing all this equipment, and if the equipment fails or if it gets destroyed, we're still leasing the equipment. And that gave me a lot of concern at first, but the reality is that the equipment is protected by the manufacturer's warranties. And if the equipment fails, it's the manufacturer's responsibility to step in and get it taken care of. So again, it's a lease that very heavily protects the vendor, but I don't know how you would write it differently.
Darren, could you address the 50% thing? I mean, just for the record.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, the vendor themselves, which is American Capital Financial Services, is providing this 50% to so they're fronting half of it to the vendor, which is not American, Advanced Exercise. Now, we're gonna visit this again with the next resolution because of the part we're paying cash for. We will be providing the same 50% on order and the same 50% for there. It is a little odd to see that inside the lease itself. The terms of who's holding that car, we don't know what the terms are when we go to the Ford dealership and release a Ford vehicle. We don't know what the terms between the dealership and the manufacturer are at that point, or from the financing company and that Ford dealership. But we do see it here. In this, in some ways that helps us out. If we just do the rough figures at $350,000, 50% of that is over the $100,000 we had budgeted in just for that alone. So we would have to do some rearranging of our budgets, just in that regard right there. So I would mirror a lot of those same concerns, and it brought up another point here of how this resolution itself is set to authorize a member of the city to sign it, because we do need to follow up. There's a couple other things in here that I would like to be followed up on, as far to make sure that we can keep our cost down as well.
I have a follow-up question as well for Paul, but I don't know if it's Paul or Darren. But do the warranties align with the years that we would have them? Or because aren't warranties much shorter than 3 and 5 years?
I haven't seen the warranties for the equipment, so I do not know. I assume frankly, equipment warranties generally run. I really can't tell you. I don't know. I was going to guess, but it would be a guess.
And Darren, did you by chance?
Sure. And, so if we go down, there's a variety of equipment here, from a treadmill to exercise bikes to just weightlifting equipment. And so even right down to the exercise balls and the yoga blocks and to the weight rack, they all have different warranties, but I would say there was somewhat of a conscious decision. That question is posed to us too. And the warranties themselves are mostly manufacturer style without the labor. There was an option for us to purchase those, and we decided not to do that for the money. We did explore that option though, for sure. There is there is some risk on this with the city. If we were to total up all the payments that are sitting here, 5 years times the 19 times the 18, 3 years times the 17 plus the 80, there is not a lot of extra cash we're paying on this for the interest side of that. And so it doesn't make sense it didn't even make sense to include the warranties because they were just so high.
Thank you.
But again, it's a calculated risk. We are spreading these payments out, and it allows us a lot of flexibility in our future budgeting to go forward with by doing this.
And we've been talking about doing this for a while. It's not like this is new news to anyone.
Sure. And the other thing I'll say, we have the same exact equipment upstairs in our fitness room, and it's 5 years old, and we have not had any trouble. The other thing that made us a lot more comfortable is the representative for this equipment, which is Advanced Exercise. Just kind of rattling off some of the cost to repair this is nothing compared to what they were charging, the manufacturer was charging for the warranty. So I'm comfortable with it. And we, as the staff, we've weighed those options and become more comfortable with not having a warranty. That is a little unusual for us, I would agree.
Okay, so you brought something up, the word repairs, and I was thinking of that question you asked, so I appreciate that. Are we, with it under a lease, and I read a lot, but I just don't remember, are they responsible for any repairs while it's under lease, or is that also us again?
It's all on us.
Now, the other thing I'll say is, as we look at this, there's probably 70 or 80 pieces of equipment here. This is different than when we buy, the last lease purchase we did was for a dump truck and an ambulance and another vehicle, where there's catastrophic losses is kind of associated with those things, and you're paying for something that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. More than likely, you're not going to find anything going wrong with a whole series of these. Now, I can't make any promises on that kind of thing, but we have a variety of equipment, a variety of styles of equipment here that we're not going to get a lemon F-350 that's going to just plague us for years and years and years like we see on a normal lease. So I hope that makes everyone comfortable. Again, it is a little bit of a strange arrangement for us. It took a little bit of time for me to get used to it as well.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-221, a resolution authorizing the city of Olivet to enter into a master lease agreement with American Capital and to authorize 3 separate schedules for fitness equipment at the new community center. Schedule A, a 3-year lease with an annual lease payment not to exceed $17,360.99. Schedule B, a 5-year lease with an annual lease payment not to exceed $18,238.08. And Schedule C, a 5-year lease with an annual lease payment not to exceed $19,145.90.
Second.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Chairman Weil,
Yes.
Mayor. Motion passed. Number 8 is resolution number 2022-222. A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a purchase agreement for strength equipment with Advanced Exercise in an amount not to
You said
exceed.
authorizing the mayor?
Yes, it does say that, right.
Okay,
That's part of the.
okay, thank you.
For strength equipment with Advanced Exercise in an amount not to exceed $81,626.01.
Conversation first?
Sure. And this is a continuation, and we do have to see that this is the kind of stuff we're paying cash for. The benches, the weightlifting equipment, the traditional stuff that we'd be more than comfortable with, assuming that we will not be trading this in within 5 years or need to replace it. It's a hodgepodge of stuff in some ways. And the reason to kind of follow up on where we stopped there is the mayor would be authorized to sign this because there's no details to kind of hammer out with the lease
Mhm.
itself. It is, there's a total of 81,000. Now, I mean, as we often do, it gets really, the details of this get kind of dirty. They're not fun. It's expensive, but this is really exciting kind of time to look and to showcase what the new community center is gonna have in it. Now, we've seen 3D renderings of this in the past. It's gonna have a really interesting flooring inside of there. And this is gonna be a real showcase piece for the community center itself to be able to offer these kinds of things. So I am excited about it.
So I
and-
see for the,
Yeah.
if you scroll down to the next page.
Okay,
So for the, keep going, sorry.
that's fine.
For the weights there, you have the rack,
Uh-huh.
but down below when you have the balls, the medicine balls,
The kettle-
the kettle balls. Are we gonna need a rack for those?
They do. They have a tray that they all sit on.
Because I
And
didn't see that in here. When I looked at it the other
we
night.
have our slam balls, and that might be because it lives with the synergy piece, which is part of, I think, the strength one. You see some of them here,
Oh, okay.
some there. There's shelves. Okay, here.
Something's going on.
Okay, good. And so that's what was authorized. Alrighty. And so those kinds of things, like, and this is a full piece of equipment, and I can, I'm fairly confident, I won't assure anyone, I'm fairly confident that the right pieces are in here to do what we need to do. And that's why we hired a design, and we agreed, to that RFQ, because we did need help doing this. You're right. Yeah, it's not Darren and Beverly and Bruce and Barb sitting around picking stuff out and hoping that it all is all gonna fit in there. No, this is, we did have professional help with this, to do that. And so we're grateful for that. Thank you, Lisa.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to approve resolution 2022-222, a resolution to authorizing the mayor to enter into a purchase agreement for strength equipment with advanced exercise at an amount not to exceed $81,626.01.
I'll second.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Chairman Weil,
Yeah.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion passed. Item number 9 is a request to approve a project agreement with EDM Inc. for an OMCI project.
Does Councilmember Knox, you know we can't see you? You want it that way?
I'm here.
Yeah, this is a good one. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Bruce McGregor, Public Works. 9 short months ago, we brought forth a application for a grant with MSD. And I learned now that maybe I should have added an inflation clause in there to adjust pricing. But this is the first year and a half of the OMCI program, and they've had quite a few kinks in their system to go through. But just earlier, maybe late February, we did get our agreement back from them that they had authorized and approved the reimbursement grant for really the engineering design for the section here. It's, if you go back to the map, it's a section 4, a segment of section 4, which is in the River de Pere tributary area of Olivet. Remember, there's 2 different areas, Deer Creek and University Branch of the River de Pere. And this is the segment in between Llewellyn and Dolores. And I'm afraid I over compressed this, so there isn't a lot of detail when you zoom in on the map here. But it's really between those 2 green lines where you were there between Dolores and Llewellyn. So yeah, Kenneth is nearby too. Yeah, so that's Kenneth right there. So it's between Villa Park and Kenneth. It's a natural stream area that sometimes is a trickle of water, and during high impulse rains is a rather good flow that causes erosion in people's backyards. East of Dolores, the area is actually made up of gabion baskets, which is a galvanized wire, like looks like a fence material, and then they fill it up with a rock, and the size is called gabion. So they're bigger stones. And what they do is they put them in sort of in ledges. So there's first one, there's like a Lego, and then they step it back and they make another one and another one. And it's a way to prevent erosion and still let water flow to go through. So that area has had improvements. Really haven't ever found out who did those improvements or when. There's still a lot of boxes down at Public Works I haven't gone through, but I haven't found anything for that project yet. And that goes behind Price Crossing, where that development has its own detention area, ultimately goes in and then under Price Road, which is now all in RCP pipe going over to the detention area by I-170. So the goal of this phase of the project is to get our research, design, and engineering complete for future implementation.
I don't disagree with where we're going here, but let's go a little bit about the future implementation. Is it a goal to continue this project after the engineering? I mean, I realize you gotta know what the numbers are.
Yes, absolutely. And there's some probable outcomes in the report that EDM put together. And what we've done with our next round of funds, we've asked for those to be reserved. So we're on the order of $80,000 in the River de Pere watershed, and in the 30s, if I recall, in the smaller segment of the Deer Creek watershed. So we've been reserving funds to use those for implementation. And as we get into this, we'll learn a little bit more about stormwater improvements and management. We really haven't done a lot here in Olivet. And all the research we show is it's expensive, but it is important. And I'm hoping there's ways that we can use the grant resources to supplement our own city resources and maybe find some more opportunities for grants or other funding mechanisms.
With you in the lead there, I have total faith. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with EDM Incorporated for engineering services related to stormwater improvements between Llewellyn Lane and Dolores Avenue in the amount not to exceed $75,196.
I second that.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman.
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Chairman Weil. Yes. Mayor. Motion passed. Item number 10 is request to approve an on-call asphalt paving services agreement.
Thank you. Several years ago, we started a program having contractors on call to do asphalt paving. And it's worked out very successfully for us for some smaller projects, not having to go through the full procurement process of bidding things out. And it gave us the flexibility to move around. I sort of think of it as like a mobile military unit. You know, you can sort of move your troops around a lot easier to take care of smaller repairs and so on. Well, the first years of that contract were up this summer. We had bid it in the spring of 2021 and it was so busy. We never put it on the agenda. And this was in the same group of bid packages we put out with curbside leaf collection and some other ones. I think there were 4 of them we put out at the same time. So now that we're getting into paving season, I wanted to bring this in front of council. We had, if you go to the bid tabulation, it was an incredibly tight spread on the bids from the various contractors. And just so people don't, just to go step back to how the program works is the contractors providing equipment and labor, all materials are getting purchased on the city account. So that way the contractor doesn't have to try to work in the fluctuation of price variance. And the city, we know that we're getting our best price possible from our vendors. The contractor only has to provide the labor and material. So it takes a lot of the hassle out of that form or risk. So there's another way to do this, and that's to use an asphalt price index, which some municipalities do use to try to make sure that they're getting consistent price or fair pricing on their services over long duration projects.
So what's in green is what you're saying, each company?
Those were so
what's in,
STL,
let me let the chief here, Rick here. So what's in green are the projects that you want for like STL milling, and then the one in green is what you want for Loretz?
that's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into agreements with St. Louis Milling and Paving LLC and Lawrence Contracting for asphalt paving services.
I second that.
But I have a question. What's a collector fee?
So it's a different classification of roadway. So Old Bonham, Dealman, and Price are collectors. So the reason we did this as a separate line item is because you need more traffic control. It's a little bit
Did
more.
we do it that way before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just didn't remember
And
that term.
yeah, so we did, so, and there's the functional classification of roadways.
Mhm.
When you guys want to have some fun, we can talk all about that, but,
Tri-
and collect,
trivia night.
urban collectors are the only ones that we qualify for STP grants for and all of that. So local roads, just don't require as much traffic control. So on.
Okay.
So that's why we have 2 classifications.
Thank you.
Sure. Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Chairman Weil,
Yes.
Mayor. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Next item is hearing from citizens, part 2.
Any of the attendees here tonight, if you would like to have anything to say for the hearing from citizens, just raise your hand on the Zoom call and we'll move you over. Anybody there?
Next item then is the review and approval of minutes.
I saw nothing that needed to be corrected.
Second.
Councilmember Carl, Councilmember Waldman,
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Chairman Weil,
Yes.
Mayor. Motion passed. Next item is the city attorney's report.
Mr. Mayor, I have no report. No need for a closed session.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Third.
When we're done recording, I do have something to tell people.